This winter is about to get very active, as several storms are set to impact the United States over the next 7 days. This includes the return of severe weather this weekend, with multiple tornadoes, a ton of snow from California to the northeast, and a winter heat wave that'll get the groundhog fired from his job. Our first storm arrives today, and this one will bring widespread impacts. This storm has the potential to shatter your heart for Valentine's Day, as widespread rainfall will make conditions dreary from Texas to the East Coast. Severe weather with damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes possible, and some snow showers. On the flip side, a dramatic pattern change will lead to a surge of warm air across the central United States. This will lead to record-breaking heat early next week as far north as Minnesota. To make matters more complicated, several storms will surge out of the Pacific Ocean next week. This will lead to additional heavy snow and thunderstorm threats across the central and eastern United States. So in today's forecast, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to know about all of these different storms that'll be impacting the United States. Now, we have a lot to talk about in today's forecast, and I want to begin with the weather pattern that'll be impacting the United States, and this is going to be vastly different than what we've been dealing with over the last couple of weeks. So let's talk more about it, and this is our jet stream, and right now we have a pretty big dip in our jet stream back over in the desert southwest. This is where our storm system is located, and this is expected to bring severe weather today, tomorrow, and Sunday to areas like Texas, New Mexico, and back into the Dixie Alley, with damaging winds, hail, and perhaps a few tornadoes being a possibility. The big story, though, will be this ridge behind it, as this is going to bring another winter quote-unquote heat wave to the Great Plains. We're going to be dealing with some record-breaking heat to begin next week as far north as Minnesota and South Dakota, and this is all thanks to this very dominant high-pressure system. However, this high-pressure system is actually good news for snow lovers, especially across the northern tier of the country, because during the beginning of next week, our jet stream is going to really start to intensify all across the desert southwest and back into the northern plains, and we're also going to have a very large storm system impacting California. This will dump a lot of rain and a lot of mountain snow back off to the west of the Rockies, but it will also bring a lot of moisture and energy over the Rockies as we go into the beginning of next week. What this means is that we'll see a bunch of storms impacting the United States during the middle and end of next week. I think there's two very good chances of winter storms east of the Rockies next week, and we'll talk more about those here in a second. But notice how intense our jet stream is going to be. Very strong winds aloft, stretching from Arizona back into the mid-Atlantic, and this is going to be a powerhouse when it comes to bringing tons of moisture from the Pacific Ocean into the country, and then on top of that, bring the possibility of snow and as well as rain for millions. And just to give you an idea of the power that this jet stream is going to unleash, this is what the moisture looks like over the next 7 to 10 days. We obviously have a very large blob of moisture that's making its way into the central United States today, and this is going to bring a lot of rain and severe storms over the next couple of days. But more notably, next week, we are going to have a very large atmospheric river event, and that's going to allow for a large trail of moisture to stretch from the Pacific Ocean back into the northeast. So these storms are going to thrive off of all this moisture, and so we should at least have two very big storms next week, but obviously we need to get through the storm that's also happening this weekend. And speaking of that storm this weekend, we do have the return of severe weather for tens of millions of people, and it all begins today. We do have a marginal risk of severe weather from South Kansas back into West Texas. This does include Oklahoma City. Wichita Falls, Texas also included in this, where there will be some isolated large hail late this afternoon into the evening hours. Tomorrow's a bit more notable, though. We have a large marginal threat stretching from western Mississippi into southern Oklahoma. Almost all of central and east Texas is included in this, where damaging winds will be the primary concern. I could see there being a couple of storms that produce quarter to $half sized hail, and also a couple of tornadoes are going to be on the table from Dallas, Fort Worth, and Abilene back into Houston, central Louisiana, and western Mississippi, and we'll talk more about the exact details of this in just a moment. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if this risk were to increase in a future outlook. There could be some sort of slight risk at play. The main concern, though, again, should be damaging winds, and then by Sunday, our threat of severe weather will be mostly across the Gulf Coast, where more damaging winds and a couple of tornadoes are possible.